The date is July 26, 2014, and during the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Indianapolis, Ty Dillon is half a lap away from winning his first NASCAR Nationwide Series race. He's being chased by a Monster Energy number 54 car. Ty Dillon would hold off Kyle Busch to win his one and only to-date NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Fast forward 11 years, on the exact weekend, Ty Dillon will be trying to hold off another 54 Monster Energy car, this time driven by Ty Gibbs, competing for $1 million in NASCAR's inaugural In-Season Challenge finale. The 32nd seed has made it all the way to the finals. Ty Dillon facing Ty Gibbs, a battle of the ties. Ty Gibbs, the 6th seed. We are going to go over these two drivers, their seasons, their tournaments, and talk about who we think is going to take the prize this weekend at Indianapolis. For starters, NASCAR has only raced at Indianapolis once in the next-gen car. That was last year in 2024. Ty Dillon finished in 19th position after starting in 22nd. A few positions ahead of Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs finished in 23rd, but had a strong qualifying run in 6th position. The other stat I put here is their driver rating for this race. So despite Ty Dillon finishing ahead of Ty Gibbs, he had a much worse driver rating. This pretty much boils down to the fact that Ty Gibbs spent more laps inside the top 15, had a higher percentage of laps in the top 15, and had a higher average running position than Ty Dillon, despite having a worse finish than him by 4 positions. Zooming out and taking a look at these guys over the course of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season, Ty Dillon just the one top 10. He is currently 30th in points, so has moved up 2 positions in points since this tournament began. Ty Gibbs, on the other hand, currently 16th in points, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s. You cannot lie, 54 had a rough start to the year. They have really turned it around in the summer months here. 16th in points, although that is outside of the playoffs because of a few winners below 16th. He'd be right there in points if it was the top 16 advancing. Now these two drivers over the course of the season in a top car battle, 12-9 for Ty Gibbs, so a lot closer than you think it would be. Again, a lot of that comes with Ty Gibbs' slow start to the season. He has had Ty Dillon covered in the second half of the year so far here. Still 12-9, pretty close battle between these guys week over week in 2025. Hard to find comparables for Indianapolis. It is such a unique track, so I just found the 2 ovals that we've raced on this season that are more than 2 miles in length. This is not including the drafting style tracks of Atlanta, Daytona, and Talladega. I don't really think those are comparables because of the drafting and pack racing nature of those tracks. The 2 tracks I pulled up here, Michigan and Pocono, Ty Gibbs finishing ahead of Ty Dillon in both of those races. A strong 3rd place run at Michigan. That 54 car was in contention to win there. They were saving some fuel, didn't push until the end. If they had been pushing the whole time with Denny Hamlin, who knows what would have happened with that 54 car there at Michigan. And then a 14th place run at Pocono. Ty Dillon 24th at Michigan and a 33rd place run at Pocono. So not a lot of success for the 10 car on the bigger ovals this season. We'll have to see how that translates this weekend at Indianapolis. But there is one other thing I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at career results at Indianapolis at this exact track, because there's some interesting stuff in here that I think you should see. So starting off with Ty Dillon, this is statistically one of his best tracks that he's ever raced at. I don't know what it is about Indianapolis and Ty Dillon. Very, very strong here. So we will start with his Xfinity Series results. 2012, that 3rd place run came in just his 2nd NASCAR Nationwide Series start at the time. So a great run when he had barely any experience in the Xfinity Series cars. And number 51 for Richard Childress Racing. Pretty cool entry and font for that car. As mentioned, in 2014, he held off Kyle Busch, winning his one and only Xfinity Series race to date. 3 straight top 10s in 15, 16, and 17. 2018 finished in 33rd, but he DNF'd in this one, crashing out just 24 laps into it. He did lead 4 laps before wrecking out, so the 3 car was up front that weekend. Moving over to the Cup side, a few results here in the number 13 car. These go back to the Gen 6, so not a lot is transferable between the Gen 6 and the 7, but thought it was important to mention that Ty Dillon has run very strong at Indianapolis his rookie season, a 19th place run. 2018 finished 21st, and then a 13th in 2019, followed by a 14th in 2020, the last running on the oval before we came back last year. Of course, last year in 2024, the only start he made in Richard Childress equipment in 2024. That's how good of a track this is for him. They specifically rolled out the 33 car for him to run at this track last year. He ran 19th. On the other hand, Ty Gibbs only 1 start in Indianapolis, and that was the 23rd place finish he had last year. Gibbs came up through the Xfinity Series and now into the Cup Series when they were running the Indianapolis Road Course, so he never ran it in the Xfinity Series and just ran it for the first time in Cup last year. So when going off track experience and track time, you definitely have to give the upper hand to Ty Dillon. Not a whole lot you can give him the upper hand for, obviously, that Gibbs equipment versus colleague. The advantage is heavily skewed to the 54 car. But this is one of Ty Dillon's best tracks, and the results do show it. He has more track time, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can translate that and beat him 2 years in a row at Indianapolis. Sticking with Ty Gibbs, I wanted to go over both drivers' pathways to the finals, who they beat, who they were up against. Ty Gibbs had a 27th seed Justin Haley in the first run at Atlanta, beat him. 22nd seed AJ Allmendinger at Chicago, beat him. 14th seed Zayden Smith at Sonoma, beat him. And just last week, 23rd seed Tyler Reddick at Dover, beat him. So 3 of these 4 seeds were seeds in the 20s, has not had to beat a seed higher than him in this entire tournament. Pretty easy pathway if you ask me. I think Reddick was the only one who really had anything to go up against him. The two of them were very close the whole weekend at Dover, battling back and forth. In the end, it ended up being Ty Gibbs advancing in that battle, but that could have gone either way depending on if we restarted, how the restarts and pit stops went. Reddick could have easily moved on there. Ty Dillon, on the other hand, coming into this tournament as the 32nd seed, has obviously had to have upset after upset, taking down 2 seeds inside of the top 10, taking down 1st seed Denny Hamlin at Atlanta, 17th seed Brad Keselowski at Chicago, a perfect bump and run on Alex Bowman to beat the 8th seed at Sonoma, and then last weekend at Dover defeating 12th seed John Hunter Nemechek. It seemed like those guys were 1 position apart the entire race. I was honestly scoreboard watching most of the race, seeing them in the 20s. Got really intense with both of them fighting to stay on the lead lap, and then both of them a lap down fighting for the lucky dog. Really good battle there. John Hunter Nemechek very close to defeating Ty Dillon at the end of the day. Ty Dillon beating him on one of those final restarts. He moves on to the final, so pretty good matchup between those two guys at Dover. Ty Dillon upset after upset, moving on as the 32nd seed. Very cool to see him in the final. Now, one other thing I wanted to look at was the tournament results for these 4 drivers, see how hot they've been during these last 4 races, and seeing who would have won each individual matchup. So at Atlanta, Ty Dillon finishing 8th. That would have beaten Ty Gibbs, who finished 14th. Gibbs has been red hot since that though. 2nd at Chicago, a 7th at Sonoma, and then a 5th at Dover. Ty Dillon finishing 20th at Chicago and Dover, and then 17th at Sonoma, so that 10 car has been winning these mid-pack battles. 54 car has been running up front. Again, as I mentioned, that 54 car Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, a little bit better than what Colleague is bringing to the tracks lately. It'd be awesome if Chevrolet took Colleague to Hendrick and said, here, give us Larson's setup and all this stuff. We want to win the tournament. That'd make it for a pretty good battle. As you've seen, the 10 car has been consistent here at Indianapolis. Going to be a good matchup between these guys. I'm just going to cheer for the 32nd seed, the underdog Ty Dillon. I hope he wins this. I think that'd be awesome for Colleague and Ty. A great interview at the end of Dover as well, talking about how at this point in the season the storylines are on the guys fighting for the playoff cut line. If you're one of the guys running 20th and 25th, your story kind of gets forgotten at this point in the year, so it's huge for these guys to be in this position and fighting for something this late into the season. Thank you so much for watching.